So I'm standing here today as your Vice President of Programs and Systems Quality with NSLA. Got to shout out the Forum for Youth Investment and the Weicker Center for Youth Program Quality, where I serve as a field consultant. And I have to shout out the National Institute on Out of School Time as well, where I also serve as a field consultant. I also had the pleasure to serve as a national board member with the American Camp Association, so my ACA folks can just go ahead and give a quick salute. Appreciate that opportunity as well. So at this conference this year, we have a sellout crowd. We have a sellout crowd of more than 850 leaders from every sector that you can imagine who are charged with serving children, youth, and families during that very special time that we care about a lot, which of course out of school time in general, but summertime. Can we give a snap for summer? Can we give a snap for the summer, all the promise that is embedded within that time period, without a doubt. And so welcome the more than 250 education leaders from schools, districts, and state education agencies. If you're with a school district, state education agency, could you just kind of be acknowledged, just like throw up something, throw up a sign, a signal, a salute or something? 250 folks. We have leaders from summer learning programs, camps, parks and recreation. Any parks and rec folks in the room? Anybody at Parks and Rec? Shout out, our rec people. School education leaders, everybody is present without a doubt. We have the YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, 4-H, campfire programs, and so many more programs that are in this space with us today. So welcome to all the youth-serving organizations that are present in this moment, in this time, including libraries. Where the library folks at? Okay, absolutely. Affordable housing, any affordable housing leaders in there? Public housing, affordable housing folks? I know we were hanging out a little bit earlier upstairs, so shout out to them. Youth employment. Anybody from summer youth employment? Anybody hire young people over the summertime? You got CITs, all that good stuff? Absolutely. Outdoor and environmental educators, folks that are focusing on college access and so much more. In the past we used to have just one professional learning community, and now we have over 10 professional learning communities, cross-sector. You're just bringing everybody together, breaking down those silos. And we know that the theme of today is really about, this particular luncheon is about interconnectedness. And so we want to make sure that we live in that interconnectedness without a doubt, as I look at my timer here. It's awesome to have all this tech to keep you on point. But if you've been into a webinar in the last 2 years with us, we always talk about our 4 I's. So it's about impact. Everybody say impact. Improvement. Innovation. Interconnectedness. And of course, that's our theme for today in this particular luncheon is interconnectedness. And by that, we mean partnerships. We can't do this by ourselves. We can't do this in silos. We have to be connected, and we have to leverage all the brilliance and the intellectual power that we bring to the table to create those pathways for all of those young people who need, want, and have to have a connection to a high quality. And can I say that again? High quality? I say quality, you say matters. Quality? Quality? Absolutely. High quality summer learning experience so that they can survive and thrive. We know that each of you do this work with incredible passion and commitment. You keep your eyes on the prize. You keep the young people at the center of your decision-making process and your thought process around this work. As I casually and gracefully go off script for a second, did you see what just happened there? I'm trying to bring forward all of this work that's embedded in my heart and my spirit while I do honor to the script at the same time. So we want to make sure that every young person that needs and wants to have a high-quality summer learning experience has that access. And we keep the young people at the center. We keep equity in our minds as we work to create those opportunities. The best way we know how to achieve that goal is to partner together and to leverage each other's strengths, to share our assets. And I have the honor and privilege, no doubt, of having the first word here today at this convening in this beautiful lunch. I'll be remiss if I didn't give a quick snap to the people who prepared the food and all the folks who prepared all this goodness, and to the LaJoy team, as well as Collaborative Communications for making all of this possible. We know that the best way to achieve this work is to partner together. We know that it takes really strong partnerships to make this stuff come to fruition. And so first, I want to acknowledge the National Center on After School and Summer Enrichment. Where are the NCASE folks? National Center on After School and Summer Enrichment. Can we give them a quick snap? Acknowledge them, we gotta acknowledge that. They continue to do great work in supporting childcare systems and programs nationwide, and we are a proud partner alongside you in that work. So thank you for the opportunity to serve alongside you. And next, I want to share a bold partnership with the Urban Libraries Council. And so please join me in welcoming to the stage Brooks Rainwater, President and CEO.
Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Freedom, freedom.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Brodrick, for that introduction. And thank you to the National Summer Learning Association for having the Urban Libraries Council here at this important conference. For anyone who is unaware, ULC is an innovation and action tank of North America's leading public library systems. We drive cutting-edge research and strategic partnerships to elevate the power of libraries as essential, transformative institutions. We identify significant challenges facing today's communities and develop new tools and techniques to help libraries achieve stronger outcomes in education, workforce and economic development, digital equity, and race and social equity. I'm here today to share about ULC's work on summer learning and announce an important initiative. ULC is wrapping up year one of a 2-year summer learning program supported by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. The program supports libraries as they deepen approaches and content in summer learning and align programming with community equity building. 23 libraries across the US and Canada have been working closely on this initiative over the past year, developing targeted programs for their communities together in a learning cohort. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge them and their hard work. Can I please ask our Building Equity, Amplify Summer Learning cohort members to stand at this time? Thank you very much to these library leaders for their time and commitment to summer programs and community engagement, and for improving outcomes for youth through targeted programming for middle schoolers. Now here today, ULC is excited to announce that this initiative is going nationwide. We are inviting all libraries and library partners and supporters to sign on to amplify equity and summer learning through our new call to action. I'm now going to read our call to action. As public library leaders, we are resolved to bring about educational and social equity by contributing to a more just structure where all youth can realize their full potential. As an integral part of the educational ecosystem, public libraries' summer learning programs play a crucial role in equitably reaching all children through intentional, systemic, and transformative library-school community partnerships. The Urban Libraries Council, through the U.S. Department of Education, Engage Every Student initiative, and in partnership with the National Summer Learning Association, calls libraries to advance equity through expanded summer learning programs targeted at historically excluded youth. ULC invites libraries to commit to engaging every child in high-quality summer learning by signing ULC's statement on summer learning, identifying youth who have been historically excluded from summer learning because of race, ability, language, access, or any other factor, creating a particularized plan for your library and the identified community by using ULC resources and national best practices, providing high-quality summer learning through learning activities tied to STEM and literacy. Libraries are trusted, venerable, and enduring institutions, central to their communities and an essential participant in bringing about educational equity. We invite you to join ULC and library leaders nationally as we come together to amplify summer success for all children. I hope you will stand with us today and sign on to this initiative. Libraries that sign on will receive information about a boot camp of webinars, benchmarks, a toolkit, and other resources to support the expansion of equity in your summer 2023 programming. Library partners and supporters are encouraged to sign on as well and commit to working with your local library systems on summer programming. There is a QR code up on the screen right now. Please point your cell phone cameras up at it for more information about the call to action and a quick online form to go ahead and sign on. Also, as you all are transitioning to the next session, you will pass some posters featuring the call to action. We hope you will also take the time to physically sign them to show your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooks. We're super proud of the work that you're doing with your incredible team, and we are excited to get the word out, leveraging our platform about the Equity Pledge. We know, I think we all know by now, that there's an unprecedented investment of federal funding for education now, which includes summer programs. And we know that the reality is that school districts can't form those partnerships fast enough. And so we decided to step in with a really great partner. NSLA and the American Camp Association, with support from the New York Life Foundation, stepped in to seed what we call the new partnerships between camps and local school districts in 10 communities. And so I want to invite our friend, partner on the stage to share a little bit more. But before I bring him up, I'd like to just deviate a little bit again and just talk about how incredible this individual is. I met him as a board member of the American Camp Association when we were going through a CEO search. And if you go through any kind of search for an employee, you see a lot of people, and then you end up landing on some candidates, and then you have your final candidate. When I met this guy, is super humble, smart, very connected, passionate about the camp and the camp experience, and passionate about people, and just a general, all-around great human being. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage a great person, individual, and a friend, Mr. Tom Rosenberg.
Thank you so much, Brodrick, for that roast and warm welcome. Catch you later, buddy. Good afternoon, everybody. So great to be back here at NSLA's Summer Changes Everything conference. This is a really exciting crowd, and I'm so delighted to be with you and to have been invited to share some remarks about this important collaboration between the NSLA and the American Camp Association. It's all about creating, evaluating, and scaling camp-school partnerships. And as Brodrick said, we cannot do it fast enough for so many kids. When out-of-school time educators and in-school educators get together during summer or during the school year to offer quality, experiential, and kinetic expanded learning programs, big things happen. Really big things happen. It changes everything. Young people connect socially and emotionally. Their learning communities are strengthened by immersive time together, often, hopefully, outside in nature at least part of the time, undistracted by technology, learning to focus on their human skills, building trusting and trusted relationships with their educators and their peers in fun and inspiring learning activities. They learn to appreciate being in the moment, becoming self-aware, inspiring learning activities. They become more independent, resilient, self-confident, and empathetic while reinforcing and expanding their academic subjects. These immersive learning communities inspire friendships, joy, hope, and healing in a time when every single one of our students and educators needs these things. On behalf of the American Camp Association, I want to express how grateful we are for the opportunity to partner with our friends, I'm going to get emotional, our friends from the National Summer Learning Association, my brothers and sisters, to lead a 2-year pilot of camp school partnerships with support from the American Recovery Plan Act, ESSER funds, and with essential, very generous support from the New York Life Foundation and also from the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. Thanks to the guaranteed funding in this program, educators and camp directors could approach this program as a long-term partnership with opportunities to collaborate for many years on funding and programming beyond this 2-year pilot. So much of what I'm even learning today is that success in camp school partnerships over the long term, and there are people in this room right now who have been building those partnerships for 35 to 50 years, is building long-term trusting relationships between the district, schools, and camp educators. So today, this week, we're here to build new partnerships, to inculcate them, to foster them. The American Camp Association and the National Summer Learning Association are here to help. This past summer, in year one, nearly 2,000 students in 6 states across the country participated in 1-week overnight camp programs and day camp programs, which were innovative collaborations between their teachers, school counselors, and summer camp professionals. Together, they created safe, accessible, inclusive, and yes, immersive learning experiences for students of all abilities to learn and grow with inspiring results. At camp, their programs focused on academics, leadership, and team building skills. Hands-on, kinetic, and experiential programming offered them a measure of independence and opportunities to try new things, build resilience, and reinforce character development. It was exciting for me personally to have an opportunity to visit some of the programming and hear teachers and counselors and administrators remarking on how much these experiences help them connect with their students and help them unpack some of the challenges that they have been struggling with during the past school years. This summer's results were impressive. For example, at one of the camp school partnerships in Brooklyn, the team measured social and emotional learning competencies of students before and after the camp program and found that the students who had the lowest scores initially grew the most and benefited the most from camp experiences. I'm also delighted to share that some of the camp school partnerships have planned programs throughout the school year to continue building leadership and executive skills that lead to success in the classroom. Camps continue to provide leadership and skill development programming for the students, while schools provide educators, logistics, transportation to support families' participation. Each of these camp school partnerships was unique, and they are all so different based on the capacities and competencies and resources available to each camp and each school. And so they learn to complement each other and build on each other's strengths. Please take time while you're here at this conference to come and learn more details about camp school partnerships and how your school or district or camp can get started with these valuable opportunities. Colleagues from the ACA and NSLA, along with representatives from last summer's camp school partnerships, are offering 2 rounds of panel discussions and information sessions. One's this afternoon, right after this at 2:15, and one on tomorrow afternoon at 2:15, both in the Virginia's room. Each of these sessions are going to offer different panelists with different stories to tell and different experiences to share. I hope that you will take time to join us for one or both of these sessions. Let's create some camp school connections this week and beyond. And we of ACA and NSLA we're here to help you connect and to support you all the way. And now, as I conclude, I would just like to take a moment, if you'll indulge me, to recognize a district and school leaders and camp professionals from this past summer's programs who are here. So as I call your name, if you just please stand up. Jessica Mossing from the Warrensburg, New York School District. Lori Rink from Camp Echo Lake. Riel Pierblooms from Trailblazer Camps. Jacqueline Ross and Eric Arnold from Hale Education. Sarah Resch from Camp Whitcomb Mason. Sean Blackman from Frost Valley YMCA. Taji Bounds from Change Summer and Camp Uncommon. And Julie Chapa from Mo Ranch. Please stand, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. And I just want to say on behalf of all of us, you are inspiring us, you're leading us forward, and we're learning so much from each of you as a field. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. We value you and your partnership, value our relationship with ACA without a doubt. So thank you. And we appreciate all those camp directors and superintendents and school districts who made a commitment to making a difference for young people this summer through the school camp partnership. In my travels, I tend to travel quite a bit, as some of you know, and I get to see a lot of different out-of-school time scenes and activities and programs and camps and all of that. And I had a chance to visit many camps over the last 2 years. And I can tell you a couple of things I saw. One was that young people were there not because they had to be, but because they wanted to be. And it was clear in those camp situations when there were high quality youth development, clearly evident, you walked in and you saw young people's work all over the place. In some of those high quality camp experiences I had a chance to observe, aside from talking to the security when I get in, that's probably the only adult I talk to probably for the first 15, 20 minutes, that there are young people ready to receive guests and acting as ambassadors and taking ownership of their camp experience and articulating what they get out of that experience, the things that they learn, the things that they get to do, the things that they get to contribute to, the fact that they get to be architects in partnership with the adult caregivers in their lived experience at camp. Those are awesome. So if we can just please snap it up one more time for all those people who create those places and spaces and fill those places and spaces with high quality youth development practice. That's what I see when I go out to camp spaces. On the flip side, I also see, which is par for the course, in every place that I go, is that there's a clear opportunity to grow and improve. So even the best youth development rock stars among us still have room to grow and improve. If there's any lifelong learners in the room, please go ahead and salute, shout out, get them a clap, snap. If you see anybody in there, anybody's done with learning, growing, we all still learning and growing, fantastic. Absolutely. So that's what I see when I go out. So when we have this opportunity to engage with the camp community and to be a facilitator of communication, collaboration, and connection between school districts and camps, it was a no-brainer for us. So thanks again to New York Life for putting the economic engine behind that to make that happen. I get to introduce another champion in the camp space, someone who I had a chance to serve alongside as a board member with ACA, someone who I've come to learn as a gentle spirit and an incredible human being. And so with that said, I'd like to invite to the stage Sterling. Please, Ms. Sterling, come up and grace the stage. It's the Director of Operations at Roundup River Ranch. Please join me in welcoming Sterling.
Good afternoon. My name is Sterling Leija, and I have the privilege of serving as a Special Populations Professional Learning Community Leader, and as Brodrick said, as a member of American Camp Association's Board of Directors. But my real passion, sorry guys, is serving as the Director of Operations at Roundup River Ranch. Roundup River Ranch is located in Colorado's Rocky Mountains and is a member of the Serious Fun Children's Network. Year-round, we serve children with serious illnesses through traditional summer camp programs, weekend family camps, camper reunions, hospital outreach, camp online, a boxed delivery program, and so much more. But I'm here today to share an inspirational story, reminding us of the remarkable value of summer learning and camp. Summer learning extends way beyond the doors of our programs to address the youth mental health crisis, to heal youth negatively impacted by adverse childhood experiences, and to develop young people into gritty, resilient, confident adults who have hope. I have the privilege of introducing our guests of honor, the Moats family. Brian Moats and his wife Carly have trusted Roundup River Ranch with their daughter Lilly and her little brother since 2014. Watching Lilly grow up has truly been the privilege of a lifetime. Lilly, I will continue to be in awe of you, of your giving heart and spirit. Roundup River Ranch staff create an environment where kids try new things, push themselves into their stretch zones, and of course flourish as their very best selves. And then in the time that I have known Lilly, I have watched her grow from a shy little tumbleweed into a strong leader who has left a long-lasting impact on not only us as staff, but most importantly, her fellow campers. And Lilly, I've told you this before, and I know you know, I do not say this lightly, you really have. I would like to share with some of you what I have experienced. So in 2014, Lilly's counselors described her as very shy, cooperative, and quiet. And although she was very shy, she opened up when she was invited into the group, and she made a new friend. Super important. In 2015, one of her cabin nurses said, Lilly was a joy to have at camp. She was a great encourager with other campers. Her counselors indicated she was a great helper and became friends with a few cabin mates. In 2016, Lilly's nurse wrote about her incredible stage night performance playing the piano and her bravery and courage that she showed that night. And her counselors wrote about all the friends that Lilly had made. In 2018, Lilly's counselors wrote about what an incredible, supportive friend she was and how she was a wonderful help to her fellow camper who was struggling. She was described as friendly, encouraging, and willing to help others. I think you would agree with me, our little Lilly was blossoming. And in 2019, Lilly's counselors said she made lots of new friends. And you guys are going to love this. She sat next to someone new every meal. It works. Her counselors said she was positive, thoughtful, and a leader. The staff wrote, Lilly pushed herself out of her comfort zone to make new friends. She was such a role model and encouraging to other campers. She is so amazing and encouraging fellow cabin mates to take their medicine to stay healthy and was always so supportive. In 2020 and 2021, Roundup River Ranch did not operate in-person programs due to the critical health needs of our campers. Instead, we provided online and boxed programs that have become part of the fabric of camp, and Lilly engaged with all of these. This summer, at age 17, Lilly returned to our traditional summer camp to enjoy her final year as a camper. Summer learning through her camp experience has been a critical part of Lilly's journey. Quality, outcome-based programs provide the space for learning, growth, building confidence, and so much more. But Lilly's story absolutely does not end here. Lilly has truly left a legacy at Roundup River Ranch. May I please direct your attention to the screens to learn more about Lilly and her family's journey.
I'm Lilly, and I'm a Roundup River Ranch camper. When I was younger, I didn't know really what the future would look like. I think having a medical condition at a young age, you realize that you need to be more grateful for what you have, and you need to kind of live in the moment, because I don't know if I'll be able to do it in the future.
In second grade, Lilly went for her well child check. We didn't have many concerns going into it. Partway through, the pediatrician used the words failure to thrive. And I was like, say that again? In a matter of weeks, Lilly had a label, chronic kidney disease patient. Words like dialysis and transplant were being thrown around, and it was a very different world in a matter of a few weeks.
I'd say Lilly was a trooper. She just kind of moved forward. I think that worry and that anxiety is something that we as parents kind of held on to. Misery of knowing that you have a kid who's profoundly ill.
I had never experienced not having kidney disease, so I didn't experience having energy and being able to, run around and eat normal foods and, live a normal kid's life.
We met with the social worker and she said, hey, I'd love to introduce you to Roundup River Ranch. It's an amazing opportunity for children with chronic diseases.
We were amazed to find out that the team of medical professionals that were going to be at the camp were as good as the team of medical professionals that she had at Children's Hospital.
When she came back from camp, we had a girl who had gained some confidence and a girl who noticed that there were kids there that were like her.
I've been to camp 5 times in person. I cry a lot, unfortunately, when I leave camp, because you all get so close in the matter of just a few days. It's a bittersweet moment. But the last few years, I didn't have the energy to do things.
Our goal was to have her kidneys that she was born with work as long as possible.
But the reality is we saw her disease progress and just more blood draws, more fatigued, more restricted diet.
We spent 2 days at Children's Hospital to see if her body could withstand what would happen to it with transplant.
I mean, I was doing the transplant because everyone had told me I'd feel so much better, but I was really scared about it.
So transplant day, Brian was at a different hospital than Lilly.
It's stressful to know that your kid's going through a lot. They're going to come out of surgery. You're not going to be there. You're not going to see them for a few days. That was tough.
But slowly, as the months went by, the meds started dropping off, and Lilly was living a regular 7th grade student's life. Yet now, she has 3 kidneys, and one of them is her dad's. A couple months after transplant, Lilly's team came to us and said, Lilly is eligible for a Make-A-Wish.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation is an organization that grants wishes to kids with serious illnesses. At that time, I wanted to be a judge. So my first wish was to meet Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Unfortunately, we were unable to meet with Justice Sotomayor. And so she decided that it would make more sense to donate, and Lilly kind of got to choose what she would donate towards that had the most meaning to her.
I love it. I love it. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the official ribbon cutting of Lily's Garden.
So the Sound Garden is an area for kids to come in and express themselves through music. Like, music is a universal language, and some of us can't always easily communicate with each other, but when we get to play music together, that's really cool. So originally I wasn't really keen on the idea of it being under my name. I'm not someone who really loves the attention. It took some coaxing. Camp, it's given so much to me. It's helped me build my own confidence in how I interact with people and trying new things. It's nice to know that kind of my legacy at camp lives on. Even though this is my last year, it doesn't mean I'm fully gone from camp. There's still a piece of me with the Sound Garden here. It will always have an important part in my life.
Well, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Lilly Moats and her dad, Brian. So thank you for welcoming them. So Lilly shared that she doesn't love the excitement and attention, so we thought we would just bring her in front of a crowd of 800. So Lilly, thank you so much for being here today. I know as a group, we would love to know what, through your eyes, has camp done for you?
Feel like camp has given me a place to kind of just have fun as a kid and have a light during times that are kind of challenging. I think it also has taught me important lessons in life that have helped me become the person I am today.
I love that. What is an example of a lesson that you've learned at camp?
To try new things at camp, we're always told, especially at mealtime, to at least try the new food. And when I first started at camp, I hated that. Absolutely hated it. But now, that with my last year at camp, I always tried to at least try something, even if I didn't like it. And I think it gives me a better outlook on life, too, to try something.
I love that. We have a book of firsts at camp where kids can write about the first time they do something. And I think my favorite entry was, I tried mustard for the first time and liked it. I love that. So thinking about that, Brian, it sounds like camp has probably done a lot for your family. How would you describe that?
I think camp offers two things. One is really obvious and one is not so obvious. The first obvious thing is about just human connection. Lilly went away to camp when she was 9 and very ill. And she was able to connect with kids who were very much she was able to connect with kids who were like her. And the amazing thing is, she connected with a kid when she was 9 or 10 years old, and she still texts that kid now, and she's 17, which shows me that these just summertime events can lead to lifelong connections that are very important. I think that's the obvious thing that everybody in this room knows. I think the one thing that's not so obvious is summer learning opportunities provide respite to parents. When you're a parent with a sick kid, you're really worried. You're going to send your kid away. You're worried about the care they're going to get. If you know that they're away and they're safe and they're well cared for, it gives you an opportunity to breathe and relax as a parent and maybe pay attention to your other kids or your other responsibilities. And I think I can't imagine that there's a lot of discussion. I haven't never been to this conference before, but I can't imagine there's a lot of discussion about the benefit of respite. But I think the respite that you guys can provide in a summer learning environment to the parents and or siblings is just amazing. And I think that any way that you could connect, not with those kids that you're serving, but also with that family network or those parents is just incredible. So thank you all for what you do.
I should have known better. I usually bring tissues with me everywhere. So, Lilly, 800 of our closest friends are in this room. And every person in this room, their goal is to make the life of a child a little better. What is your one piece of advice for all of them?
That's a hard question. I think my piece of advice was to make sure the kids have a time, people to laugh with. Because I feel like laughter is just such a great way to connect people and bring a little bit of happiness, especially to the kids in experiences that are hard experiences. And when you get that chance to laugh, it often sticks with you for a long time.
I think that's incredibly sound advice. Brian, what is the one thing you would ask Brian of this group?
I think the one thing that I would ask is, again, any way that you can provide additional kind of wraparound services support, and know that that summer learning doesn't have to mean an end to that connection, that connection, just like this, Lilly had a connection from a summer learning program, but it's meant so much to her that she's continuing to engage the people she met in that summer learning program is just recognize that these are lifelong connections to both the professionals and the other kids.
All right, so my last question for you, Lilly. Not very many kids donate their Make-A-Wish. I've been told less than one a year. So what you did is pretty incredible. What made you decide to do it?
Oh, I feel like, as I said in the video, camp just has given me so many really good experiences that I wanted kids who would continue to hopefully come to camp to have even better experiences. And I think also, including the sound garden, I was able to give music, which also helps connect people even more. So that was really meaningful to me.
Brian, Lilly, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story with us.
You feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want.
I might need it. I might need it. I'm standing in the corner and just the four letters keep coming into my head over and over and over again. L-O-V-E. L-O-V-E. There's a lot of love in the room. There's a lot of love in this work that we do. There's a lot of love we saw displayed on the stage just now. And, you know, whenever I see it, I just have to call it what it is. There's a love movement happening right now in this room. And so, Lilly, it's so inspiring to be with you. Super inspiring to see and hear your story of you and your family. And we're grateful that you traveled here to be with us today in person. So thank you. It's my honor and privilege to grace the stage to introduce a guy who actually needs no introduction to this room. And as I thought about what are the couple of words that I could say to introduce this guy, the first word that came to mind was funny. This guy is hilarious. Honestly, every time I have a conversation, get a chance to be in his presence, hear his stories, I walk away richer just as a person, but also filled with joy and laughter, which I really appreciate about him. The other word that comes to mind is driven. This is a driven guy, man. Like, who thought we would have had a conference here last year? But we did, you know. If you think about all the great shoulders that we stand upon in NSLA and all the work that's happened over the last 25 years, if NSLA feels and looks a little bit different today to you, it's because of this driven individual who came in with new ideas, new concepts, you know, just great energy and spirit and passion for the work, which I really appreciate. The other word that I would say about him, I won't share in this venue. No, I'm just joking. This guy has just been incredible, and it has saw a gift in me personally, and has put me personally in a position to be standing here today as your Vice President of Programs and Systems Quality. So for that, I super am humble and appreciate all the opportunities that you opened up for me to be standing here as well, not only on this stage, but just in the work. So thank you very much for that. So ladies and gentlemen, please, you know, give me like a real round and round and round and round of applause for Mr. Aaron Dworkin.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I'ma get a scholarship to King's College.
All right. Thank you, Brodrick. That means so much coming from you, my friend. A real gift. I said this to some of you last year, but Brodrick has been, if you're just meeting him now, has been trained in every youth development tool there ever was created. He's an expert. That's why he says he trains everybody. And so if you are running a program or trying to grow a program or improve a program, the best thing you could do is ask NSLA to send Brodrick to train your staff and work with you. So thank you, Brodrick, and his team of field consultants are amazing, and his staff. So let's give Brodrick a round of applause. Thank you. It is great to see everyone. I do want to acknowledge and thank you for your grace and your patience. And I know you all have run programs with kids, and I know you know what a long line with hungry people looks like, and maybe not getting the badges as perfectly as you want. So here's the good news. None of you need to register tomorrow. You're done. But if you don't have a name tag, you could be whoever you want. Introduce yourself and call yourself whatever you want, and see how far that takes you. But it is great to be with everyone, and I want to acknowledge Lilly and Brian and Sterling. You have just grounded us in what this entire conference is about, and why people are coming all across the country and spending money out of their budgets and fighting with their bosses to get approvals, because it matters what we do in this room, how we work together in order to help millions of kids in America. Kids like Lilly, you heard what Sterling and her camp has done. And Sterling's camp is part of thousands of camps that are part of the American Camp Association. And we have Liz Vogel and Scott Brody and Tom Rosenberg, who you just heard about. And this whole theme of this lunch, and a theme that will run through this conference, is about the creative partnerships and the unlikely allies that you have. You may have walked in here this morning and you don't even realize all the people that you could work with that want to help you. Problems and challenges you have, someone sitting at a table right next to you has actually faced them and maybe solved them. So the challenge is, how do we connect with one another and support one another, so together we can support all the kids in the country and give them the experiences like Lilly has had. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, ACA. Give you a round of applause too. And other partnerships, and thank you, Brooks, and thank you, Urban Library Council. And I know Urban Library Council not because, yes, they are the council of all the big city library systems, which is really important, but also through Liz McChesney. And if Liz McChesney runs our library and literacy professional learning community, hopefully if you were with her today, please give yourselves a round of applause, give her a round of applause. She was the chief children's librarian in Chicago. She's the guru, she's retired. I lucked into a gift where she decided to devote some of her time and talent to work with NSLA and allow us to bring all the librarians in the world who know how to teach kids to read and care about that, and run summer reading programs for thousands and millions of kids across America, and taking it from summer reading to summer learning. So that's what we're doing with the Urban Library Council. That's what we're doing with Liz's leadership. And similar, she's leading a professional learning community similar to Sterling. And Sterling is using her expertise about how do you work with kids who may have been through a traumatic situation, and that's what we call special populations. But there are lots of programs in this room that are working with kids with lots of different challenges, and they have unique circumstances as a camp and as a family and as a kid and staff that they have to navigate. And so Sterling is making herself available to the NSLA community. So this is who you have in this room. And we're going to go through that a little bit more. I just have to thank a lot of people. So that's my job. So let me just quickly try and do it, but I shouldn't go too fast. But let's just acknowledge I have a great staff, and we expand our services by using field consultants and these leaders of the professional learning community. So if you are a staff person for NSLA, a field consultant, or a PLC leader, can you please stand and let us acknowledge you? All right, thank you. And let us also thank, when you're a nonprofit, you're pretty broke, right? You need people to help you make payroll, and you need people to care about your mission and give you advice. And we depend very much on our wonderful, amazing, gifted national board, leaders from all across the country with lots of talents and positions. And if you are a national board member for NSLA, could you please stand and let us thank you? All right. All right, and then we will have a lot of time, and some of our exhibitors you got to see while you're waiting online for your food or your badges, but we have a whole other room that we're gonna open up to you with almost 40 different companies, partner groups that want to get to know you, they want to support you. So these are our exhibitors. We have amazing sponsors, and there are some that have stepped up a little bit more, to help us make this conference possible, and I just want to acknowledge them. So New York Life Insurance Foundation, you're going to be hearing from them, the Mott Foundation, the Wallace Foundation, FHI 360, Dreambox Learning, Bloomberg Corporation, Metametrics, Scholastic, and Varsity Tutors. They have made a big commitment to all of us in this room, and so I just would like to thank them very much. All right, and then thank you to everyone here. We know you're busy. It's a privilege to have your time and your expertise in this room. We have, as Brodrick went through some of the numbers, almost 100 sessions between now and Wednesday, with almost 250 panelists. A lot of you are panelists. I encourage you not only to be a panelist, but to be an audience member, and to also listen and learn to these amazing people that we have here. And actually yesterday, when I was welcoming some people, there was the teacher of the year from Minnesota walked in with someone from her school district in Rochester, Minnesota, and they walked into this hotel and they said, "Oh my God, this is such a fancy hotel. I feel so important." And I go, well, that's the purpose. You are important. We want you to feel important. You need to know you're important. You need to know your work's important, and it affects kids every day. And sometimes we're very humble, and let me be honest, I don't hang out at the Mayflower Hotel every day, but 2 days a year, 3 days a year, you should treat yourselves well. Look, I could have taken you all to the Sheraton behind my house in the backyard, but can we take ourselves seriously, give ourselves credit for how hard you're working to help kids day in, day out? And for 3 days, we should celebrate ourselves, take ourselves seriously, and yes, you are important, and everyone knows that. So I also just kind of want to share a little bit of, for those of you who are maybe new, what is summer learning? And there's a lot of ways. I don't have time. I don't have PowerPoints. We're not going to do this, but I'll explain it to you the way I explain it to my kids' friends. So basically, if you take the goals of summer school, academic goals, you want to learn math, you want to learn reading, primarily STEM, and you take the goals of summer camp, as we've heard a lot about, community building, leadership building, team building, enrichment activities, and if you had them make a baby, you would end up with summer learning. All right, we want kids to have everything. We want you to learn math and read, and we want you to learn how to have fun and be able to play and make new friends, and we want you to go horseback riding. We want you to, and by the way, it doesn't have to happen at camp. It doesn't only have to happen in school. It's why it can happen at a library, parks and rec. It could be in all these different settings. So that's kind of how we talk about it. And I don't know if you remember, a commercial in the 80s, but I'll just kind of take you through it, which was, I'm not just up here telling everybody else they need to benefit from these programs. I benefit from these programs. I grew up in a family that cared about what me and my brother and sister got to do in the summer. And if we had money, if we didn't have money, my parents found a way to send us, sometimes on scholarship, they send us to lots of programs and made sure we could work and learn and grow in the summer. And so I was a camper at a camp, and this was a pretty run-down camp, so I don't want to make fun of it, but the pool was broken a lot, but my wife always makes fun of me. She's like, how come you're not a better swimmer? You went again. I'm like, no, but this camp was really focused on leadership skills and public speaking skills and team building. And it actually, as I look back on it, I wonder who should have been paying who, because this was one of these camps where me and my friends were we were writing the play and we were organizing the Olympics. And I was like, what are the staff doing here? I didn't even understand it, but as I grew into it, by 15, I was a dishwasher in this camp. I worked probably 17 hours a day with a great guy, became a great friend of mine, and we were washing dishes for 500 people. I met the director of this camp recently. I said, oh, you still hire 15-year-olds to be the dishwasher? She's like, no, that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. That's child labor laws were broken. I'm like, but I learned a lot, and now I tell my wife, I can't do dishes for the 3 people in my family. I can only do dishes for 500 people. And then I became a counselor, and I worked with kids, and then I became a unit head, and then I became the director of a camp. And then, it makes sense because I'll just share personally that between 7th and 10th grade, I happened to be, for various reasons, in 5 schools in 3 years. And I was in 2 different coasts and parochial schools and public schools and lots of crazy stuff. And a few things that happened, is I learned to get very good at basketball. That's how I made friends. I learned how to be pretty extroverted and make friends. I suffered in math because all the schools had different math curriculum, and I didn't do so hot there. I'm better now. And the guys and the people I knew from my summer camp, they were the most consistent relationships I had. And those people, one of them, the guy who slept on the top bunk, became the best man at my wedding. The guy who was the other dishwasher, we married 2 sisters, and he's now my brother-in-law. And so it makes sense that when I graduated college, I moved to New York City. I started volunteering with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I met the social worker in there, and she said, there's a huge waiting list of teenage boys, and what are we going to do? And so it would make sense if you had these experiences that I would create the Hoops and Leaders basketball mentoring program and get hundreds of men in New York City to start playing basketball and teach college and leadership skills to teenage boys. And that led me to go to the Harvard Education School, where when I was there, everybody was seemingly trying to start a charter school, which is great, and I have more power to them. There was 10 people interested in camp and out of school time. And the professor who taught the class is here today, Dr. Gil Noam. And I got very close to him. And so that was my focus. I went to the Harvard Ed School, and all I cared about is how do we create more out of school time opportunities to help more kids, just like I had received and seen so many people receive. And that led me to go work for Arnold Schwarzenegger's charity out in LA called After School All Stars. And when I was there, I started out as the national program director, and after 12 years left as I was the national president. And every time, that organization served 90,000 kids in 20 cities, and every time we would come up with a new national curriculum, the first thing we would do is create a summer program to train all the staff in what the curriculum looked like. And we had this mantra, no training about kids without kids. And if you want to really have great programs during the school year, you better invest in teaching everyone what they look like during the summer. So we did this whether it was a camp to get kids ready for high school and they wouldn't drop out. We call it Camp Us, so we did it. So we brought that basketball camp that I ran in New York. We brought it to 10 cities across the country. It was called Hoop Heroes. We then, created Youth Leadership Institute. So it makes sense looking back. When you're Lilly's age looking forward, it's hard to know what's going to happen in the future. When we get to be our age, you look back, you can see the through lines. And the through line for me was that I had these summer experiences growing up. And so the commercial I was referencing when I was a kid, I don't know, in the 80s, I don't know if you guys remember this. There was always the commercials to get people to wear toupees. It was like the hair club for men. And at the end, the guy who's doing the commercial would take off his toupee and say, I'm not just the hair club president, I'm a client. And that's how I feel about summer programs. I'm not just the guy, the CEO of NSLA, I'm a guy who benefited from these programs, just like all of you. And that's why we're trying to give these opportunities to everybody in the country. So you've just reminded us, Lilly, why our work matters. I just want to remind everybody who else is in the room. We are sold out. We are not typically sold out. If you had ever come for the last 29 years to our conference, on the day of the conference, you would have been able to find a chair. Today, that's not the case, okay? And we'll talk about why. But, so you heard from Brodrick, schools are here, districts are here. I want to thank FHI and Wallace Foundation for bringing so many state education agencies, and our partners at CCSSO who work with them are here, plus the U.S. Department of Education. Tomorrow, we're going to have Secretary Cardona. And you heard about the hundreds of nonprofits here, everyone from Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, Save the Children, 4-H, big ones, to small grassroots groups, camps, Outward Bound, all the intermediary nonprofits that bring people together are here. We have this list called Summer Learning Champions. These are amazing nonprofits who do amazing work. They've stepped up to support this conference. I want to thank them. And then we have what I call the youth serving government agencies. And this is the libraries, public housing, parks and rec, and as you get older, summer youth employment programs run by mayors quite often. So thank you all for being here. And what is special and rare is that every one of those entities I just described, they get together, they have their own conferences, thousands of people. But what happens is we don't always get together in one place around one goal. And let me just remind us what the goal is. There are 29 million kids in America, kindergarten through 12th grade, who qualify for free and reduced lunch. That's how we talk about poverty in America. We don't say, are you poor? We say, do you need a meal? And those are the kids who we know have suffered the most during COVID. And those are the kids who cannot afford and access and always have entree to great programs like Lilly's program and some of the programs you all represent. And no one of us and no single organization, no school district, and no nonprofit, no government agency is going to serve 29 million kids. But together with the leaders in this room and with all of you and your organizations and who you represent, it's actually really possible. And I want to talk about how we're on the 5-yard line. We're close. We're not on the 1-yard line, but we're close. And so again, thank you for what you're all doing here. And I'd like you to just think for a second about your work and think about last summer you just had. And think about that one magical, meaningful moment, the biggest moment of impact that you feel that you and your organization had. Just try and think about that right now. Because if I think about that, and that's what you all do, you're having huge impact, I could say, maybe I would tell you about the time I got to go to Connecticut over the summer with the CEO of Horizons National and Jose from Horizons, because they used money from the American Rescue Plan to create a whole new program for kids in New Haven, Connecticut. And you know who came along and we got to welcome her and take her on a tour? The First Lady of the United States. She cared about what they were doing and she visited. That was amazing. Or I could think about a moment of impact when all of you were creating programs, but we needed to make sure that families knew about them and would sign up. So we created with Rod Chow from InPlay, who's here from the Bay Area. Hope you can meet him. a website called discoversummer.org that we got 30,000 programs listed in, where you could just type in your zip code and find out all the programs near you that you could afford. But we needed people to know about it. So thank you to our partners at Clear Channel. They started running a multi-million-dollar billboard campaign, and they also, iHeartRadio ran ads promoting this, discoversummer.org. We had hundreds of thousands of users, which was a lot, 10 times more than we had the year before, and 10 times, so many more programs. And what we did was we went to Times Square and there were ads running in Times Square promoting discoversummer.org, find a great program near you. So that would be a highlight. But the moment that was the most meaningful for me last summer was when we brought together, and we started a lot of new programs, we kept Brodrick very busy. We created both a congressional summer internship program for low-income college kids who have graduated from a lot of your programs, who want to do internships for their senators or congressmen, but cannot afford to work for free or to work for even minimum wage, and they can't afford to fly to DC, and they can't afford to make that opportunity possible. So we covered their costs and made that possible. And then we ran something called the National Youth Leadership Institute, where we asked almost 50 of our past award-winning programs to send one student leader and one staff person together for a week. And it was during National Summer Learning Week in July. And at one point, these programs overlapped. And we had an evening, and Carlos Santini from Mizzen was helping us run this program, Ray China Dad. And we had this evening where the activity was to have the students were on the floor, and the college kids came in and started telling. And one after another, there was 10 of them, and I was on the side, kind of like Brodrick is now. And you heard Zion say, hey, I was in a program called Math Corps when I was your age, and now I work for Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, and now I'm a senior at Dartmouth. And they heard from Noor Hanza from Wisconsin, who told about how she came with her family from Burma in 9th grade, had never been in school, didn't know a word of English, and somehow got graduated, got a scholarship to the University of Wisconsin, and then was working for the Tammy Baldwin, the senator from Wisconsin. And then they heard from Ren Duevi, who is from New Jersey, and had come as an immigrant to New Jersey, but then got into the NJ LEAP program that helped her go into college, and she graduated Rutgers, and she was working for a congresswoman. And at that moment, you could see, and I was on the side, this laser beam of light, where all the college students could see themselves in the students on the floor, and all the students on the floor could just see themselves and their future selves in these college students. And it was going back and forth. It was like this yellow bright light, like there it was. And the next night, our great national board came in for a big meeting, and they had dinner with the college interns. And we brought them together. We did this like speed dating thing. And then at the same time, there it was. I saw them staring at each other's eyes, and all the board members could see themselves in the interns, and all the interns could see their future selves in the board members. So what are we doing here? We're building relationships. We're building community. You can do it in any way you want. You can do it in any setting you want. We want kids to learn and grow in all these different ways, but ultimately it comes down to all our relationships and how much love, as Brodrick said, we pour into one another. Now, Ken Burns once made a documentary in 2009 about the National Park Service, and he called it America's Greatest Idea, or America's Best Idea. And I would challenge that, because, I'm biased. I think summer learning programs could be America's best idea. And I'll tell you why I think I give them a run for our money, and all of us do. Because every time there's a traumatic, challenging situation facing kids, our first reaction and our best effort is to create a summer program to help them. This doesn't start with me. In 1877, the Fresh Air Fund, immigrant kids were living in New York City. The air was dirty. There was factories and people couldn't breathe. They created programs in the woods in upstate New York to help those kids. That continues today, and I'm really proud they're going to win our national award this year. Only 150 years later, but I'm glad they're getting it. In 1910, there was recognition that there were girls who didn't have the same opportunities as boys to be leaders and to learn. And so Campfire, if you know that great organization, was created. In 1927, 4-H wanted young people who were going to take over their family farms to learn new agriculture skills from their family who never went to school. So how are they going to learn to adapt? And so they created summer camps to teach kids agriculture, updated skills so they could take over those farms. In 1942, coming back from World War II, when people thought the world was getting
be destroyed. These two leaders decided we needed a new leadership program. They created an organization called Coro that ran summer programs to teach kids how to really lead in society and come up with new solutions. They still exist today. If you flash forward to 1962, Outward Bound said, how do we get more people to use nature and learn independence and learn leadership and build community and use nature as a classroom? And they just celebrated their 60th anniversary. Arthur Peterson's here representing them. And then I'll just remember, we were just talking about Sterling's camp, and before it was called Serious Fun Network, they were talking about, it used to be referred to as Hole in the Wall gang camps, and it was Paul Newman, and they were talking about how do we help kids with different diseases and challenges. That was started in 1988. During the Middle East peace process, when people were trying to figure out how to help kids become the future peace builders, they created Seeds of Peace. And it just goes on. And after 9/11, there were programs to help kids who lost their parents in 9/11. And you see it now. If programs, you want to help kids coming out of Uvalde who experienced gun violence, there's a summer program. We have camps, summer programs helping kids coming from Afghanistan and Ukraine. So at every time when we're in a rush, and we need to figure out how to help kids, we turn to summer programs. So then COVID happens. And you've all experienced it. And you saw that COVID was hard for everyone, but harder for some. And we saw that you're going to hear the NAEP results came out today. We're going to hear about it from Chris Minnick from NWEA. But academically, if you were low income, if you're from communities of color, you struggled so much more academically on math and reading. And then social emotionally, you know, the Academy of Psychologists declared a mental state of emergency around mental health for kids, and suicide attempts for girls went up 51% between 2019 and 2021. So all these challenges. And so what does our federal government do? They pass the American Rescue Plan, and they set aside $30 billion for summer programs to help the kids of America catch up. We were just building on a track record and experience that we know. And so here we are. This is why this place is sold out. Because now the country's in a tough spot. We got to help our kids catch up. They don't know who to turn to, and they are turning to you. And we are looking to you, and we have a few, common complaints that we're seeing. And I would ask you to do what this professor from Harvard, Ronald Heifetz, always writes in his books. He says, come with me up to the balcony. We actually have balconies. So just imagine you take your soul a little bit. You come up here, and you're looking down on this conference, and you're looking down on the country, and you're like, all right, there are a few common challenges. All right, first of all, there are some of you who've got a lot of money and are like, I've never been asked to run summer programs before. Where do I begin? What do I need to do? And you're stuck. And I'll tell you, NSLA, ACA, all these groups have been around for 30 years. We have best practices. We know how to do it. We have research from RAND, from the Wallace Foundation. We know what a good program looks like, and we will help you. And we will share this research. We have new research from Gil Noam and his team that you'll see as well later today and later tomorrow. But then we also heard, hey, my staff are exhausted. I can't do more in the summer. I know you need it, but I can't do it. I can't find staff. And then we say, all right, well, you know what? You're not alone. And there are, at the American Camp Association, 3,000 people who care about kids in the summer. And at the National After School Association, a separate 3,000 people who want to help kids in after school. And at the Superintendent Association, another 5,000 people. And the American Library Association sometimes gets up to 30,000, 40,000 people. There are a lot of people who want to help the kids you serve, and there are a lot of programs, a lot of partners. So we just got to tap that in. If it's just you by yourself, yes, it's hard. But if you team up with others, we could get you the support you need, I believe. And so then we look at policy, and I hear this a lot, and you know this. People say, well, what's going to happen when the money runs out in 2 years? How am I going to keep this going, and why should I even start if the money's going to run out? And to you, I say, that is the equivalent of saying, why should I go outside in 6 months if it might snow in 2 years? Does not make sense to me, and it's not important because we live in the here and now, and we need to focus on serving kids right now. And if we do a good job, we will make that case, and we will advocate, and we will help you advocate, and hopefully that we will have a track record to stand on, and we will show growth, and we'll make sure that kids are being served, and people see that that money is being well invested and well spent. But we have 2 more summers to prove this. And so then you say, well, are people going to know about it? We talk about public awareness. We're going to help make sure that if you've got a program and you create spots for kids, that those families will learn about it. And then at the end, though, who's going to connect all these dots? We are in a position where we have the expertise. We have the model programs. We have trainers who are going to do this. And normally we don't have the funding, but we actually have the funding.
So now all we need are the leaders and the people to tie all these resources together. And when I say go up to the balcony, I'm asking you to go beyond your program, go beyond your title, and think about what would I do to help all the kids in the country, and who would I work with here, and how can I be of service to everybody? And if we were all on the same team, we could reach that goal of serving 29 million kids. And so people say to me, you know, all right, well, where do we go from here? And this is what I would say: do what we always do, what we've done since the Fresh Air Fund and for 100 years before and 100 years going forward. We have to focus on kids. And bear with me, but kids is an acronym, and the K stands for one, know and grow your numbers. How many low-income kids are in your school, in your district, in your state? How many are you serving? How many did you serve last summer? How many more are you going to serve next summer? The I is for improve and adjust. Okay? Some things you got to inspect. You got to see what worked. Maybe you didn't get the staff you wanted. Maybe you didn't get the kids. Maybe you didn't get the funding. There are ways to figure. Don't give up, but we're going to adjust. I once worked for a guy, I'll just tell you, named Daniel Lebetsky, and he had a pesto sauce company. He was trying to be like Ben and Jerry's of the pesto sauce world, and he was trying to do like a socially conscious food business. And it didn't really exactly work. And I remember being with him, and he's like, Aaron called me into his office, and he said, Aaron, come in here. I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, I'm an idiot. I go, why? He's like, how often do people buy pesto sauce? I'm like, that you should have thought about that. He's like, maybe 6 months, once every, if you like pesto sauce. He's like, I need a candy bar that people will eat in 30 seconds the next day. And you know what this guy adjusted? And he created a bar like that. He became Kind Bars. He's now a billionaire. He's a judge on Shark Tank. And I'm here with you. But everyone goes where they want to be. Everybody ends up where they need to be. He's doing well. I'm doing well. The D stands for develop strategic partnerships. All of you, when we talk about partnerships, it's not what we often make the mistake of trying to partner with people like similar to us. You're a math program. Go get it together with all the other math programs. No. You're a math program. Go meet with the English program and go find the guy who does arts and the woman who does sports and put it all together, because kids have varied interests. They need varied programs. We want to give them everything, but we are not good at everything. And let's be humble and acknowledge that. And if we do, then you will partner with the people and make sure that the kids get everything they need. And the S in kids stands for start now. We are on the clock. People are going to come to us in 2 years, to this field, to all of you, to me, and say, we gave you a lot of money. How many more kids did you serve? How many more kids like Lilly were you able to impact and make a huge moment? And so if we do that, if we follow the kids, if we focus on program quality, partnerships, policy, public awareness, and step up as the people and the leaders we know we need, and if we do that and we put our effort into proving that we are actually one of America's best ideas, and if we continue to focus on those moments of impact and duplicate them and make them so much more for so many more kids, then all of us will reach that number of 29 million kids, and we will prove to Ken Burns, yes, it is the summer learning field that is America's best idea. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing, everything you're going to do. Know that all of us are on your team, we're on your side. And to Lilly, who reminds us of why we're here, I want you to know that you and your dad need to clear your calendar, because tomorrow at 2:30, Judge Sotomayor expects you in her chambers. Thank you, everybody, for everything you're doing. Let's have a great conference, and please get to know each other.